Verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. So, left alone. Now everything is through. Okay? And here comes this man. I'm sure Jacob did not expect, or Jacob did not hope for the fact that he didn't plan for this, sure, because he wanted to be in the front. Okay, that is the idea. He gets everything is on the other side. Now I go and I get through all of them, and I get in front seat, and I start driving the car, kind of idea. Okay, I get in the front because I need to be in front of my family, so when Esau comes, I am in front. Because I told the servants this is how it's going to be. So being caught up now in a fight in a river with someone, meaning he's not rushing out to be there in front, and especially in the end, he won't be able to rush out after this fight. This was not his plan, not his intention. Okay, so here comes this man who's now wrestling with him until the breaking of the day. He lost lots of hours. He would have been, well, sure, not, again, as I said, not as he planned. And this wrestling. Who is this man? Why the heck is he wrestling with him? What's the whole point of this wrestling match? Okay, WWE kind of, right? What's the point? Why? Verse 25. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Wrestling. I don't know, like watching these wrestling matches, and it looks as if the one guy is like basically killing the other guy, and the next moment he jumps up and he fights back as if he was just tickled with feathers, kind of idea, right? I mean, it's nonsense. We all know it's just a bunch of premeditated moves, and it's just a show, right? And anyhow, in this case, it's not. And Jacob is wrestling like mad with this guy, and the other guy is not winning, okay? And so in the end, he hit him here on the hip socket. His hip was put out of joint. We had to get a hip replacement. No, they had no hip replacements those days. Now, basically, he lost the match. Okay, now sure, God fighting here with him, God could have done this way in the beginning. So there was no need to go on. But there's a point of this. Like, this was important, again, for Jacob, not for God. Right, like that prayer wasn't important for God. It was important for Jacob to be reminded of what God did for him. Like in this case, this is not important for God. He wrestled with God so that he can show that he is now serious. He is willing. He is not the same old Joseph anymore. He is Jacob anymore. He's a new Jacob. Okay, so for his sake, for Jacob's sake, God knew what is going to happen. God knew this is how he's going to fight. I mean, God made him. He's God. And everything that's existed is gone. Okay, so. But this is not, again, what it's about. This is for Jacob's sake. Verse 26. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day has broken." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Okay, so now the one is fighting with him, saying, "Let me go." And Jacob in that sense, though, I want a blessing. Throughout his life, he did all kinds of things as to get a blessing from God. But this is now different. Okay, this is not now through deceiving. This is now not through, in a certain sense, even brutal strength. This is now not this blessing he wants because of getting something really, but what is ahead is very important to him. With Esau coming, this is him fighting for his family, not him fighting for himself. This is him fighting for his family, fighting for something different. And so yeah, God is in. See, the reason for wanting this blessing differs from the reason. The way he's getting it differs from the old Jacob, new Jacob. Yes, not perfect. Sure, not perfect. Man, he's going to mess up like Abram did before, like we all do. Verse 27. And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Now, as if the angel, as if God didn't know. Right? Again, it's just Jacob's sake, please, people. Okay, so asking, Jacob needs to. So he says Jacob. Now the blessing here, therefore, is not in you'll have this, you'll have that. Lord, in the name of Jesus, I claim a Mercedes or a Lamborghini or something like that. Right? That's just not what the blessing is about. Okay? Isn't who he is. It's him being changed. Doesn't mean you get anything physical. It's just him. He is being changed. Verse 28. Then he said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. So a change of name, a change of who he is, a change of his destiny, because God already changed Jacob from a mother's deceiving boy to this new Jacob. Right? God changed him. So now God changes his name as well. Say, your name is Israel. Very important point. It reminds the people there in the desert on their way to the promised land that these are their roots. Right? They've striven with God. They have come. They've prevailed. Okay? So if they could strive with God and prevail, like Jacob, if Jacob could strive with God and prevail, how much more can they strive with those Philistines living in the country and prevail? God prevailed just now over the Egyptians, the superpower of the day. It's like God destroying the American army so that you can leave the country. And now you come to Lesotho, like Trump said, where in the world is Lesotho? Nobody knows. But you come to Lesotho, it's there in South Africa, in the mountains, Mountain Kingdom. And now you're afraid of the Lesotho on the monkey, on the donkeys, kind of thing, up in the mountain, right? It doesn't make really sense. But this happened with them when God destroyed the Egyptians back there, the superpower of the day, and brought them to the land, to countries that were under the superpower politically, who were paying money up to that superpower, right? And now they're afraid to enter that land because the people are seemingly so big, right? Here it shows again they had no excuse for that. They had no excuse to say, no, we can't enter that, because Jacob strived with God, and Jacob, he in the end prevailed. So if Jacob, therefore, father, could strive with God and prevail, and then so much more can they prevail against those nations. But they're going to say, no thank you, they're too big, let's go back. But we'll still get to that. Sad, but true. So yes, he blessed him. We don't know what the blessing is, but he changed the name. Verse 13. Oh, sorry, verse 29. Then Jacob asked him, please tell me your name. But he said, why is that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. So here we get to a very important point. So he asked now this angel, God, what's your name? The idea, if you know the name of the God, you can manipulate the God. You have power over the God. Is this what Jacob wanted, to like kind of get power over the God? Jacob changed. Maybe not fully. Maybe this is still this old part still kind of coming through here. He wanted to. That was a culture. That was a way of doing things. Okay? Or maybe he just want to check, is this the same God from there and the same God here? Kind of, we don't know. But God's not going to give him his name. God only did that at the burning bush. Right? So when Moses wrote down these names, these words, he knows that God didn't give the name there. God only gave the name here at the burning bush when Moses asked him. And that time God did not deny Moses the answer. He told him, I am who I am. The Tetragrammaton, YHWH, right? That is then when God gave the name. Here not. Because the people had to learn that God is not like their little gods. God can't be manipulated. So I'm not going to give you my name. You think like this. I will only give you my name ultimately when you can use it correctly. And then the first commandment is actually second commandment. They were not supposed to use God's name. That is why we don't know if it's Yahweh or Jehovah, whichever it is, whatever name it is. We actually don't know God's name. We have the 4 letters, yeah, but that's that. All the vowels filled in, we don't know. Okay? And he did bless him. Okay, so he did ask him, why are you asking my name? So is it for that reason? And maybe, since he didn't tell him, he told Moses later on, maybe it was because of that. So he was not going to tell. Right? God was not going to throw oil on the fire here and give Jacob something like give an atomic bomb to a child to go and throw on someone kind of idea. God was not going to do that. Okay, put a gun, a Kalashnikov in a 5-year-old's hands kind of idea, full of bullets. Okay, you're stupid doing that. Okay, God knows. So the most likely the reason Jacob is still the old Jacob somewhere down, because we're not fully out of, as a Christian, there's still the old nature. Paul wrote about it. There's fight against the old nature. Although some Christians think there's no old nature and they are just perfect. I know people like that, Christians like that. But there is still part of this old nature in him. And so therefore, most likely from that, therefore God's not giving him the answer. Okay? But he did bless him. The grace shines through because there is a change in him. There is a new man in Jacob. Put there by God.